Good morning, everybody. I'm Ed Glotzbach, Chairman of the Board of Spire, and on behalf of my fellow board members and all the employees of Spire, we welcome you to our annual shareholder meeting. Here at Spire, one of our core values for our customers and for our employees is safety. So before we start the formal meeting today, please welcome Tim Goodson, who's Vice President of Field Operations for Spire, Missouri East, who will present our Safety Minute. Tim?
Thank you, Mr. Glotzbach.
Thank you.
Good morning, folks. Good morning. Safety is a value for us, not a priority, because we change our priorities constantly. And so one of our traditions in the company to reinforce that value is to start every meeting with a Safety Minute. It's a brief reminder of things that we all experience in our everyday lives. And so as we answer every challenge and leave the work done completely, we also do it safely every time. Today we're going to talk about travel safety. All of us travel, and in particular we stay in hotels, maybe a bed and breakfast. So this applies when you're in a multi-level, mid-rise, high-rise type hotel. When you check in and you go to your room, I recommend you drop your bags and then immediately go back out into the hall. Be sure you take your key. And then count the doors on the side where your room is located to the first exit on your right and then the next direction. Then mark in your mind mentally 12 right, 14 left. If there's an emergency, such as a fire, the hallway's filled with smoke, the lights are out, and you have to evacuate, you can count 12 right, 14 left, and get to that exit. If there's smoke in the hallway, go low, because that's where the air is you'll be able to breathe and get out. Also, before you leave the room, if there's an alarm, get your coat, if you have one, depending on the weather, your key and your phone. All of us have phones these days. Take it with you. Feel the door. If the door is hot, it's likely that there's fire on the outside. Do not want to open the door and have it enter the room when it gets a fresh blast of oxygen. So immediately call in and notify the hotel that your door is hot, that you can't get out. Call 911 as well. Don't rely just on the hotel. Call 911 as well. Fill the bathtub with water if you can. Put wet towels at the base of the door if smoke starts to enter. You can use an ice bucket to throw water on the door if it starts to get hot or other areas begin to combust, something of that nature, to buy yourself time. If it's not hot, open the door, proceed out, count those doors as you go. If you can't see, get to that exit. And if you have difficulty with stairs, also call the hotel and tell them, and call 911. Not everybody can manage stairs, but that's the emergency exit. Don't use the elevators unless the fire department is with you. You've all seen that fire department key insert here on an elevator. That allows them to bypass all floors, particularly any that are involved in a fire, so you don't open up the door and see the inferno. It's not a good day when that happens. So take those steps. Be sure that if you have any difficulty, you let folks know that you're in the room, that you're sheltering in place, or that you can't handle the stairs, and they will get back to you. So what next? When you get to that stairwell, exit immediately. Start downstairs. Expect other people to be there. There may be equipment, construction materials, etc. Folks like to put things like that in emergency stairwells. They don't really think about them in that regard. You'll also probably meet emergency responders coming up. They tend to use the outside edge, stick to the inside, use the handrail so that you've got 3 points of contact for stability. No one wants to fall on the stairs when you're trying to evacuate a building. Once you reach the bottom floor, exit outside. Move across the street to a parking lot or wherever emergency responders or the hotel staff may direct you. You do not want to be below the building if windows break out or there's other problems of that nature. And wait for an all clear before you re-enter. Hopefully, it won't be anything other than a false alarm. It's bad enough to be woken up, you'll lose some sleep, particularly at night. But if you know that 10 or 12 left and 14 right, you're ahead of the game. Stay prepared. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. That's great advice. Now let me introduce the board of directors, as well as our executive officers and the representative from our independent accountants, Deloitte & Touche, in the audience. My fellow directors are, look at them here, Mark Borer, retired CEO and board member from DCP Midstream Partners. Maria Fogarty, retired Senior Vice President, Internal Audit and Compliance, NextEra Energy. Rob Jones, retired co-head, Bank of America Merrill Lynch Commodities. Brenda Newberry, founder and retired Chief Executive Officer of the Newberry Group. Suzanne Sitherwood, Chief Executive Officer and President of Spire. John Stupp, Jr., President, Stupp Brothers Incorporated. And Mary Ann Van Lochran, retired Chairman and CEO of Cray Distributing. For our executive officers, we have Steve Lindsay, Executive Vice President, Chief Operating Officer, Distribution Operations. Steve Rashi, Executive Vice President, Chief Financial Officer. Mark Darrell, Senior Vice President, General Counsel, and Chief Compliance Officer. Scott Carter, Senior Vice President, Commercial Operations. Mike Geiselhart, Senior Vice President, Strategic Planning and Corporate Development. Our Deloitte & Touche partner here today is Adam Krasnoff. Let me also ask the other officers of the Spire entities who are here today to please stand and be recognized. I will now begin the formal meeting. Do we have proof of notice?
Yes, I have the affidavit of Daniel Zini and Broadridge Financial Solutions, Inc., that shows the notice of the meeting has been distributed as required. At the opening of the meeting, we have received proxies for majority of the shares issued and outstanding. If any shareholder has a proxy to turn in, please raise it up for an usher to pick up.
Since we have more than a majority of the outstanding common shares represented here either in person or by proxy, we have a quorum. Therefore, we may proceed with the business of the meeting. The Corporate Secretary has the minutes of last year's annual meeting available. If any shareholder wishes to inspect the minutes, please contact Ellen after the meeting. This morning we have 4 items of business that Ms. Theroff will now present.
For the first item of business as proxy, I nominate Mark A. Borer and Maria V. Fogarty as directors for a 3-year term expiring at the annual meeting in the year of 2021. These were the nominees named in the proxy statement.
Is there a second to these nominations? Second?
For the second item of business as proxy, I move the advisory approval of compensation of our named executive officers.
Is there a second to that motion? Second?
For the third item of business as proxy, I move the ratification of the appointment of Deloitte & Touche as the company's independent registered public accountant for the fiscal year 2018.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you.
For the fourth item of business that was listed in the proxy was any items that were additionally to be listed at the meeting and discussed. I have received no notices of any additional items.
Thank you. Creighton Dunlop of IVS Associates has been appointed as Inspector of Election and will report results to the Secretary as soon as they are available. The proxies have cast the votes in accordance with the instructions received from the shareholders giving such proxies. If any shareholder in the audience would like to submit their vote on the issues now, please raise your hand and an usher will bring you a ballot. Please mark your ballots and turn them into the usher so that they can be tallied if you need to do that. While waiting on the report of the Inspector of Election, I'd like to share a few comments. Allow me to start by saying thank you for your investment in Spire and for placing your trust in the management and the board of directors to oversee Spire's continued growth and transformation. In fiscal 2017, we continued to deliver on our plans to grow and provide shareholder value. And we did this while staying true to our mission of answering challenges, advancing communities, and enriching lives. Earlier this fiscal year, we increased Spire's annualized dividend by 7.1% to $2.25 per share, demonstrating our commitment to providing value to our shareholders. Your board takes the responsibility that you place in us very seriously. Just as effective management succession is essential to a company's success, we view board succession planning in the same way. We remain committed to ensuring that the board is comprised of high integrity, highly capable directors who represent the long-term interests of shareholders. This includes a focus on incorporating diverse perspectives with a mix of skills, experience, backgrounds, and tenure. Since 2011, we have elected an independent chair, 4 new directors, and rotated committee chairs. Another way we're enriching lives and delivering value to our stakeholders is through our commitment to environmental and social responsibility. In 2018, we plan to issue our first report summarizing our activities and performance in the areas of sustainability, including how we are operating responsibly from an environmental, social, and governance perspective. As we look to this year coming, our goal remains the same: create enhanced value for our shareholders, our customers, and our communities. On behalf of the Board of Directors, thank you again for your investment and for your continued support. While we await the report of the Inspector of Election, I will invite Suzanne to make a few remarks.
Thank you very much, Ed. So good morning, everyone. I too want to thank you for being here this morning, and it's especially nice for me because I see some familiar faces in the audience, some shareholders that have been with us the last few years, at least as long as I have been here, so welcome. I want to start a little bit with Spire. Spire the name, Spire the brand. And Spire is more than a word. Spire is, our mission lives within Spire, it's our brand, it's our values, and it's a name and all of that we have created. I have a strong belief that brands are created from within because we have the responsibility of delivering on that brand. So it is more than a name. We had 23 internal teams over the course of 3.5 years to develop Spire, to have the name, have the mark, and have all the content that exhibits what they do every day. And so while, yes, we have a mission statement, here it is our promise, a mission is our promise to answer every challenge, advance every community, and enrich every life through the strength of our energy. We also have a color. Most of you in the room can probably figure out what that color is. A color, too, is the way you show up to all your stakeholders. And orange isn't by accident. When you look in our space, very few companies use orange. In fact, none did at the time that we implemented our brand. Orange is vibrant, and it connects to people. It invites you in, which is consistent with, again, our brand and our values. Most brands, too, have a mark. Ours is a handshake at the front door because we in our industry need to connect to people. We need to deliver on our promise, and the best way to do that is connecting to people, all of our stakeholders, and to our communities. So we took that journey 3.5 years ago. We've done a lot of training at supervisory management level, all the way to our employees. And at the time that we launched, 2 years ago this April, for our corporation, as well as Spire Marketing, we knew that we also had a long journey to launch with our gas companies and in the field. So on September 25th, our 5 gas companies became Spire across the entirety of our region. That took a whole lot of heavy lifting and a whole lot of effort to deploy that. Our employees wanted to pick a day, a major milestone in the history of our gas companies that are over 150 years old. They wanted to have that milestone that they could remember because they had worked so hard these 150 years, and they were highly committed to serving our customers. And they, as one team across our enterprise, wanted this special day on September 25th. So on September 25th, our names changed for those gas companies, as well as they showed up in orange uniforms, trucks rolled, customers could go into our systems, be it our website or the way that they take their service, and they saw orange, they saw Spire, but mostly what they saw is our employees that are out there every day working hard on their behalf show up. But we also recognize all that hard work that we do, it also needs to show up in the numbers. We have metrics, and we have metrics that we manage around our solid financial and operating performance, our commitment to organic growth, the investment in our business, and with technology and with Spire as a master brand, we have a renewed focus on serving our customers and our communities. Showing up in the numbers for our shareholders, there's two distinct markers for that. It's our dividends, which driving strong earnings, and you can see $3.56 per share, diluted share, in fiscal year 2017. That's a 4.1% increase year over year. As you know, we've guided the market that our growth range is 4 to 6%, so this fits nicely inside that range, and you can also see our history. Ed mentioned the dividend increase of 7.1%. At 2018, the dollar per share for fiscal year, $2.25. An increase again of 7.1%, which fits nicely in our range of 55 to 65%. In addition to that, we are proud to say that we've increased the dividend the last 15 years to our shareholders. So between our earnings growth and our dividend growth, we're square on where we want to be in our metrics. We also, at the same time, and Tim talked some about this, raised the bar in our safety and system operations. I could actually give at least a 30-minute presentation just in this domain alone, because our employees have done an incredible job of changing the metrics and redefining the way that we think about those. Tim spoke to safety, but I thought I'd take at least a couple of examples and give a shout out for our employees. So one of the metrics that we use in our industry is leaks per 1,000 miles of main. Year over year, last year, we decreased that number by 30%, very important metric in our industry. One of the other metrics that we follow closely is our response time on leak calls across our footprint. Last year, that time was 27.4 minutes. So if you can imagine, by the time you get a call, especially in an urban environment, and get to that customer, that is a very, very strong number, and we're very proud of that. We've worked very, very hard. And we have many more operational metrics that we follow. We follow each one closely and look for processes and ways to make improvements year over year. We're also growing strategically by upgrading our infrastructure, advancing our technology, and investing in our people. So if you look at, for example, our capital expenditures for 2017, it was $438 million. If you go back 5 years ago, we've increased that by more than $200 million. Also, if you look at the year 2017 through 2021, our capital expenditures, as we know them today, are at $2.3 billion. A year ago, so 2016 through 2019, that number would have been $2 million. So we're constantly evaluating our ability to invest and what those right things are to invest in. One of our primary drivers for that is obviously the pipeline replacement program. We talk frequently about that program because we've stood that up in a great way in St. Louis, and through our acquisitions, we leveraged our processes and models and took those to the same in our other areas. So the miles of pipeline replaced, 324 miles in 2017, year-over-year increase for sure, and $240 million of the capital expenditure that I shared on the previous slide. We're also serving more homes and businesses. So from a gas company customer's perspective, we're at 1.69 million. If I took this slide back years before that, you would have saw negative growth. Our industry, gas company industry, has been challenged with positive growth, mostly because of the recession, but also how do you retain customers as well as grow your customer base. And for us at Spire, the industry uses the number of meters, the number of premises as a customer count. But we at Spire go behind the meter and look at customers' needs and how they engage with us. Because customers aren't a meter, they're people, they're places of businesses. They have their responsibilities during the day, and so how can we best serve them? So we are deploying new technologies and other ideas across the customer base. And to give you a little bit of flavor of that, we invest $58 million to get to that customer, that premise, that pipeline, that meter. But again, sitting behind that are customers. So sitting behind those 10,350 meters that we added across our enterprise are our customers that are taking our service every day and connecting with us. And the one that I'm probably most particularly proud of on this page is we connected over 1,000 multifamily premises, which is a growing part of a lot of the urban regions. And traditionally, there have been barriers to entry in multifamily housing because of the way they're constructed. So we have created some ways of working with those developers, and so you should see more in the coming years in this particular area. We're also growing in the midstream market. As most of you know, we've been analyzing our pipeline infrastructure and the way that we take supply for our customers, and making sure, not just for today, but for well into the future, that we're giving our customers reliability, resiliently, and a best cost structure portfolio to deliver on their economy into the future. We've started in the St. Louis region. We're in the process of constructing a pipeline that should go into service mid-fiscal 2019. It's a 65-mile pipeline that runs from the northeast to bring shale gas into the region. It's a $190 to $210 million pipeline, and we're well on our way with this project, and there will be more projects to come as we continue to complete our analysis in other areas of our geography. And then I wanted to make one mention when we think about infrastructure, there's technology infrastructure, the backbone of our technology platforms, but we're also working hard now with Spire and its deployment to add technology that connects to our customers. With those strong technology platforms, we can add on to that and have technology that shows up where you are as a customer. So you can be at your soccer match and pay your gas bill, or check the weather, those sorts of things. So, and also our mobile-friendly website, you can look up a lot of different information, plus My Account, where you can go into your account. So you'll see much more around this enhanced employee experience training, and so that it shows up in an enhanced way to our customers with our technology platforms. Now, to me and to the Leadership Council who's in front of me, all this happens through our people. We can have the best technology in the world, we can have the best processes in the world, but it's delivered through our people, our employees, because we are, again, serving people and communities. That is how we connect. And other stakeholders, be it our shareholders or the regulatory authority, those are people as well. And for me, this slide describes how amazing our people are that do this work every day. Not only do they do the work every day, but we have ways of connecting to our community with our generosity of spirit. We have what is called Spire Serves. And just one example of that is we had a day for good and told our employees, you can volunteer for anything that is a special mission to you. And immediately we had 462 employees that volunteered their time with an organization, again, that was special for them. But it doesn't stop with our employees. It also goes to our customers. We had 3,500 local families that were served by our customers checking the box, giving $1 once a month to help those customers that were more needy stay on the system. And then the final block at the top is to share with you, last year, 2017, $5.5 million to our community through our foundations and grants and other things. Our generosity of spirit. So I've only been given abbreviated time this morning. I'm quite passionate about this company and our strategies and what we deliver to our shareholders and how we engage as employees together collectively. So we are launching this year for the first time a digitized year in review. It was launched this morning. So if you'd like to learn more about our company and our accomplishments in 2017 and some of the other efforts, please go online, take a look at that. The communications team with the business teams did an excellent job of pulling it together. I think you'll like it. I certainly did. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to give it back to you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Hopefully that gave you some vision and a sense of what the organization has accomplished, both in terms of financial terms and where the company's headed and operationally what it accomplished. So on behalf of the board of directors, we're all proud of the accomplishments and thank the management team and all the employees of Spire for what they've done. It's been an interesting year when you try to bring everybody from an older name to a new name and bring them together. And that's been accomplished, I think in our view, nearly flawlessly. So thanks to all for that. But before we move on, let me open the floor and see if there's any questions anybody would like to ask. All right. With that being the case, we'll move on to the formal business. We have the report of the Inspector of Election. Would the Secretary please report the results?
The results were as follows. Mark A. Borer and Maria V. Fogarty each received favorable votes from the greater than a majority of voted shares, which is sufficient for Mr. Borer and Ms. Fogarty's election for a term of 3 years. The proposal for advisory approval of compensation of our executive officers received favorable votes from greater than a majority of the voted shares as well, which is sufficient for its advisory approval. And the proposal to ratify the appointment of Deloitte & Touche LLP to audit the account of Spire for the fiscal year 2018 received favorable votes from greater than the majority of the voted shares, which is sufficient for its approval.
Thanks, Ellen. As you heard, the nominees named in the proxy statement have been elected. Congratulations to them. Advisory approval of compensation of our executive officers has been obtained, and the appointment of Deloitte & Touche LLP has been ratified. I will now ask Ellen for closing statements and motion to adjourn.
Some of today's comments have included forward-looking statements. Actual results may differ materially from those projected. A description of the risks and uncertainties that could cause future performance or results to be different than those anticipated is contained in the company's Form 10-K and other documents filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, which are readily available. We also note that some of the remarks contain non-GAAP financial measures, which reconciliation of the non-GAAP financial measures to comparable GAAP measures can be found in our Form 10-K available on our website. As proxy, I move that the meeting be adjourned.
So ordered. Thank you for coming today, for your investment in Spire, and we appreciate you as customers and as employees, everybody here. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.